Okay, now let's move on to the next part of our show. Of course, we've asked our members of our growing trading community about the stocks that you want to talk about. So we've collected them, and we have them here. And we ask, of course, our technical experts to comment each and every stock. So we just do this one by one. So are you ready, gentlemen? All right, so let's flash the screen right here. So first, top of the list is Metro Bank, or MBT. Juanis?
Well, Metro Bank has had a very depressed situation in the last few months, and fortunately in August that it's managed to seemingly turn things around. And you can see in the chart there, it's actually been able to break over the downtrend line, and it's now cascading a little bit sideways, trying to get a little bit more leverage on the price.
Yes.
So I think if you can hang on to this level right now, then it should be on its way to try to be able to make more recovery. So I'm quite hopeful that we've seen probably the worst for Metro Bank, and that would probably see a little bit more sideways, but eventually an upward will come out of this.
Okay, so given this chart, no, so when do you start buying it, Juanis? So I mean, right now,
I think you can already start. You can do a gradual purchase into this. Like I said, since I don't think that you're going to go back to your July lows, if you want, you can enter with a light position. As prices continue to slide a little lower, maybe you can add a little bit more and put a major stop on support, maybe closer to 70. I don't think it'll go below that. And as soon as you see it start resounding, then you can add more as you feel more confident that the recovery is starting to be able to solidify.
Right, we talked about buying. So how about the potential resistance here? What's your target for Metro Bank? At least in the short term.
Short term, this can go all the way back to about 80.
80. Yeah. Okay. Moving on to the next one, we have NPI. Lawrence?
Alam mo talaga yung secret. Right. NPI's just broken up 200-day.
Okay.
So that's a critical junction for me, right?
So for our audience, why 200-day?
So like remember we were saying break-even point.
Yes.
So if you look at the 200-day EMA, 200 is essentially 200-day, the past 1 year of trading.
Okay. Right.
So when you're looking at over the past 1 year of trading, that's the break-even point of the individual stock.
Okay.
Right. So what's happened is that over the past year, people were breaking even. We were still losing money, like 4 or 5 days ago.
Right.
People were actually losing money on MPI.
Yes.
Today, finally, their portfolios go from red to green.
Okay. Right.
So normally we would be hesitant on asking them to, but I normally would see it as resistance here.
Yes.
But this guy's clearing resistance. Today it finished at 554, I think, as it closed today. So this guy's trying to make its way higher, right? You do have to take into consideration that there might be a uptrend channel that's showing up. So you might see some resistance showing up in the short term. But I think that the fact that this guy can clear that 200 EMA is a significant showing significant underlying strength.
Right.
So I'm still happy that this guy's the strongest stock, one of the strongest stocks in the board today.
Okay, so Lawrence, given that you mentioned that it's it's likely going to go through the channel, no? So wag tayo matatakot if it goes down to around 5, no?
Yeah, the 506, right? Yeah, 506. Well, right now it's 506, right? So at the $5 level, it could just easily cascade up and down going forward. But ideally, the most ideal is that it stays above that 535 level, which is the 200 EMA. So you want it to stay. If it's really strong, it's not going to go back in.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So next, Sir Juanis, how about Bloomberry? It's the third stock that they want to ask. Bloomberry.
Well, unfortunately, being into the gaming sector, we've been hearing a lot of talk around town about how potentially someone from a different country wants to clamp down on people using online gaming. And because of that it did hit a particular sector which actually before that announcement was actually doing pretty decently well.
Right.
I understand the earnings growth for it was still relatively good. But now prices have fallen back to the previous low, just below it just a little bit, and managed to recover. I don't think it's out of the woods just yet.
Yes.
And so I think we may need a little bit more time to see if it can hold its ground here above that 9 peso marker. And this really needs to be able to breach itself over 10 before it starts to show us that the coast is clear to be able to enter. So I would probably be quite hesitant in buying this right now. If you do, that takes a considerable amount of risk. And there's still a potential that you would still see a new low if that thing is open. So I would take a little bit more time and wait.
But one is, what about people who are already in Bloomberry, probably around the 14, 13 peso area?
If they were in there, I don't think they were in there for any technical reason. Because the technical
Anyways,
you know what,
sorry.
let's talk about that. Trading is you being a driver in your car.
Okay.
You can put your 2 hands on the wheel and take control all the time. Because the minute you're driving and you let go of that wheel, you're bound to crash.
Okay.
Right? And crash once, twice, or 3 times until your luck runs out, and you're not going to be in this game much longer. So if you made a mistake and you still have not pulled the trigger to exit, that means you must love this stock for dear life, and no matter what I say, you're going to be in there no matter what.
Okay.
So my suggestion is that if you're still in there, watch your lows. If it breaks it, then it's time for you to call it quits. Look first for something else that's moving. That might be the best thing to do, or maybe faster to recover your money. And if this finally shows some technical strength, you can always jump back inside Bloomberry. It can always be a good option for you later on.
But of course, we know that hindsight is 2020. If we could turn back time, what would be the sell signals here?
And you're really trying to tell me what
I
you should have
done. I'm not buying into Bloomberry, but nevertheless, this is a common question we have from our clients.
Once it broke beneath 1350 or 13 was the exit strategy.
Okay, ito, yung big break
that's
dito,
right.
when it ended the uptrend.
Yeah.
The blue line.
You just said it. The blue line.
Blue line.
Alright.
And you know what? And that's why, looking hindsight, you say,
Yes.
when these sell triggers actually happen,
Yes.
I know at the time, especially for those who bought it near the high, I know it might feel painful to exit.
Yes. Right.
But you'll see what happens later on when it goes all the way so much deeper. That okay, it hurt you, but it only hurt for a small amount. Now it's still hurting you every night.
Still can't sleep.
And the deeper it goes, the harder it is to press the sell button because you're going to say, ang bago na ito, ba't ko ba ibibenta ito ngayon? And if I do, you're probably saying that, my God, I might look like a fool if this turns around now and I've been holding it all the way to $9.
Oh.
And so it becomes much harder. So make the hard decision early so it doesn't cost you so much.
Right.
And then just wait for the good timing essence and the sound technicals to really get you back in the game.
Right, so for now, ganda ako muna natin.
I mean, along those lines, I just want to add something
Sige,
along those
go ahead.
lines. Because I have individuals that have asked me opinions several years ago,
Yes.
whether they should sell PXP.
Yes.
And then what happened was, very recently, one individual called me and said that, because PXP went up like 300%, right?
Right.
This is that was like last year. So someone called me and said, nakita mo ba yung PXP? It's up 300%. Oh, yeah, congratulations. You're still holding it? Congratulations. Yeah, tabla na ako. What?
Oh my God.
So I mean, it means that over the past several years, they have to carry that burden of being trampled by these issues, right?
And let me guess, up to today hasn't sold it.
They didn't.
Lucky you.
Okay, so moving on to the next stock, Lawrence, let's talk about Mega World.
So Mega World was the primary guy to take a beating based on the quote unquote news or rumors that the Pogo they're going to be clamped down on the Pogo, right?
Yeah.
So it broke. We wanted it to stay above that blue diagonal line, the dotted line now that's been broken several days ago. But things broke down. I think it's going to be a large range moving forward from 5 to hopefully we won't make it all the way back down to 420, and it'll probably consolidate above this 450 level. So ideally, you want it to consolidate between 450 to 5 in order for underlying strength to really show itself. right? But if this thing breaks the 450 level, that 420 level is definitely in play. So for those who are holding MEG, you guys have to be careful of what I know. So, but there was news today that they signed a deal with JP Morgan for a big landmark project in uptown Bonifacio. So hopefully we'll have some rally reprieve going into tomorrow, right? Okay. Yeah. So I think you have to be a little bit more careful. I'm going to be a little bit more careful because you're basically 50-50 at this stage in terms of risk reward, right? So 450 to 5 and then 5 to 420, right?
Right.
So you're going to be a little bit more careful.
All right.
Good thing it's uptick today, so.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Sir Juanis, how about Ayala Land with Abby?
Okay. Well, Ayala Land has actually shown its dominance in the property issues, and I know a lot of property stocks have felt the weight because of rising interest rates. I was quite, I was pleasantly surprised that Ayala's recovery was actually pretty decent, coming from that low that you saw in July all the way to where it rallied back closer to 43 pesos, I believe.
Yeah.
And it's moving up into an upward channel right now. So if you're looking for a potential entry, you want it to be able to come closer to where that blue line is, what we call the uptrend line, and see if we can hold on to that level and just go ahead and take it one step at a time. However, since we've gone to 2 or 3 stretches into a rally, there is a wider chance that we might need a wider consolidation from this point on. So just be a little careful. Also, major high for Ayala Land stands at 47.50. So if you're buying it closer to 45 to 47.50, it doesn't give you too much upside. Right. So I think in this particular case, unless you get a nice bigger pattern in the bottom, pulling prices away and making your upside a bit bigger, maybe you might not see too much of heavy demand coming at this end of it. So wait for this to pull back, but I'm still quite fond of this, and the reversals are very clear. The trend here is turned.
I think we've talked about this before, honestly, but I guess for the purpose of our audience, what we mean by a long reconsolidation at this point, meaning that it ended its downtrend. Now, are we surprised it's doing such?
Let's use the example Lawrence gave you earlier when he was talking about overhang and supply, right? So since you're coming back to an area where previous major highs from Ayala Land were there are some people who got stuck at that particular price, and you need gradually to get these guys out, convince them to sell, and convince new people to come back in. And the only way you can do that is by keeping prices pegged into a certain range. If the guys see that Ayala Land starts to consolidate here, the guy waiting to sell at 47 is saying, hindi naman pala ako makaabot ng 47, benta ko na lang dyan sa konting baba. And so you convince more of these people to sell, it builds up into a pattern, new money comes in at a lower price, and eventually gives you good move for a slingshot move above that range. But that may take a little time.
Alright. Okay. Lawrence, daming tatanong sa amin dito kasi part of the quarter shots to, but Semirara Mining Corporation.
So Semirara made a huge move earlier in July, right? So July to August, it made it all the way up to the 32.92, 32 and 32.33 level, 32.90, 33 level, right? And if you notice that it really bumped the green line, you see that it's really evident that the 200-day was really the resistance point there.
Yes.
So what happens is that if you're coming from 27.50 and then making it all the way to 32, 33 bucks, that means that there's 20% that you've just made back, right? And normally when you see that kind of move, that's you'll really take money off. You'll just really close the position already at that time. You break even, I'm down 20%, I'm breaking even, I'm really taking money. And that's what happened here. So what happened is a lot of people were taking money at that time, and then all of a sudden you still see some overhang moving forward, right? So now it's found its way onto the blue line, which is a support level, and it actually bounced from there today. So it's up significantly today, I think about 3.5% today. So, but that 32.92 number, the green line, isn't going to go away, right? So what happens is that you go from 32, 33 bucks all the way down to 29 something. That's another 10% down. So if the 10% you rally again, another 10, 17%, people will start taking money again off the table, right? So in the short term, I think that green line is going to be an overhang, but I think that as long as this thing bases out over the next few weeks, I think that this guy this is something that you really have to watch, because a break above that green line, you might actually have some velocity afterwards.
Okay.
But you still, like alongside what Juanis was saying, you're just going to it's still going to take some time. This guy's not going to run away.
Let me add, one of the things, as coming from what Lawrence just said, when you're looking for a stock that's starting to turn around, one of the things that you want to see whether your stock is a strong pick or a weak pick would be how much of a pullback does the stock bring in.
Okay.
So in a case like this, it drew back quite significantly off the high, particularly that major resistance.
Right.
So if you're giving the opportunity for somebody else to buy at a cheap price, and it even comes to rally back towards your previous high, and you're giving them the ability to take good money, they will take that money.
Right.
So that's why if you see a stock make a reaction, and the reaction is very light from the resistance area, and it doesn't give the guy who sold there the ability to buy back so well, right? And do that profit taking maneuver all over again.
Right.
It has better chances of crossing over that resistance on the next swing and creating more of an uptrend.
Right.
So that's why I think in Lawrence, when he talked about Megworld, he said if it had only fallen where it is right now and it recovers from that, that's a good thing. But if it falls all the way back to 425, that's not a good thing, and this will probably put back itself. So watch your retracements. If the retracements are very light, that's a strong indicator for your stock, and get ready to hop on that as soon as you can.
Okay, all right. Sir Juanis, how about DNL?
All right, I think Lawrence talked about this earlier as one of his nice picks, and the reason is very simple. You have a downtrend which ended. It's now starting to be able to channel up, although it's taking a little time to be able to take whatever overhang supply out at this particular point. But it has not broken over the 200-day yet. So while it's still down there, do expect more choppy movements for the stock. That channel more likely persist. And if we can see it break about the 200-day or the previous high, which is about 1080 or 1090, then we'll probably be able to see something a little more faster moving into the DNL. So try to buy just near the low side.
Okay. Near the blue line.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, ito, Lawrence, naging ano na to eh, naging adjective na to eh. No? Mga FGEN ka. Comments on FGEN?
This is the first time FGEN broken that green line in forever.
Ah, okay.
A long time.
In a long time. So not forever, forever using figuratively. It's figuratively. This guy hasn't broken that green line in such a long time. It means that people have been losing money. Like, this is why it's an average. People have been continuously losing money on this guy over an extensive period of time. All of a sudden, clears it. That green line's clear. That means that all of a sudden, people who have been breaking even all these years, losing money all these years, now for the past year, boom, profitable na kayo.
Oh.
That means that something, and there's an underlying strength that's coming into the individual stock, right? And this was after the EDC privatization, right?
Yes.
So the privatizations, that gap, that initial gap,
Right.
initial red, the big red candle, that's the EDC gap, right?
Yes.
That means that after the gap prices pulled back, somebody came and supported the stock, and now it's shooting higher, right? So these are definitely fantastic signals for FGEN. I know that fundamentally they still think that it's cheap at this stage, so that's always going to be in favor of FGEN. And I think that partly maybe because of those people who have sold in EDC have switched to FGEN. So that's actually really, really good. Whereas before, if I have to pick between FGEN and EDC, I only pick one or the other. Ngayon, we privatize one. If I think it's still cheap, lipat ko na lang sa FGEN. So I think that this bodes well for in favor of FGEN. I hope that they can clear that red line, the red resistance line, the horizontal one at around 1740. Right? But if that thing clears it, you actually might have some significant legs for this move. So this is one of the guys we're keeping very close watch on.
All right.
It's also nice to know that, normally when Lopez stocks like this move, and you see several of them moving together, that puts more weight into their advantage. If you also notice, aside from FGEN, that First Philippine Holding is moving similarly, LPZ also moving the same thing, and that helps because they tend to move together. We've seen that many times before, so that adds to the plus side. Because they normally go down together, and
They go down together, they cover together as well.
Well, in this case, rising tides raises all the local ships.
Sometimes you have to look at it. You have to look at it like this. Let's say if FGEN is moving, if kung naiwan ako sa FGEN, baka FPH na lang. Parang ganun eh. Sometimes it's like that there, right? So normally that's why even a lot of the Ayala stocks move together as well. Diba? Kasi if Ayala goes up, hindi ako na Ayala for na.
Okay, Sir Juanis.
Yep.
Jollibee. Ito, I was looking at this for the longest time. It dropped a bit, pero I did not buy it.
You know, when I was coming towards the half of the end of the first half, Jollibee's position wasn't really looking very nice. It broke down from a descending triangle, lurched down. But just of course, we understood that the threat for endo was coming, and potentially the rising prices, particularly for soft drinks because of the train was being affected, and it was a dark time, if you'd like, for Jollibee, but the earnings came out quite surprising. I was just talking with our head of research the other day, and she was quite happy to see the results for Jollibee. I think the charts reflect exactly that. It looked like a market that was taken by surprise, and now left without too heavy a position. And because of that, and now they started buying back, and that's why the channel reoriented itself back to the upside. But like we talked about earlier, channel will control the ranges, so now that it's making reactions closer to the low, we want to be looking for opportunity to buy this to the support. So that looks quite healthy now.
All right. Lawrence, how about SMPH?
SMPH is probably the only stock that didn't really drop since January this year. So if you look at it, it's just a big range from 32 bucks all the way to 39 and change, 39.50. So for those of you who are holding, SM Prime, congratulations, your portfolios didn't suffer too much. But at the same time, you're probably closer to the higher end of the range. Right? So one of the reasons why we really think that it's going to be difficult, it's going to be creep more, so we call it creep, incrementally going up, and it's going to be choppy going up in the index, is because one of the heavyweights really didn't fall, right? So the margin for, even if the index fell a lot, one of the index heavyweights held its ground. That means that at the same time, you're also seeing this guy without really any reason to go vertical. So if you're buying it today closer to the 39 level, your upside is very small, right? So you want to be purchasing this at closer to 35.93, right? 36 bucks.
Kasi Lawrence, one of the reasons why we noticed that I think selling on the first 2 quarters of the year is that the foreigners are actually selling Philippines. So does it mean that for this particular stock, when the index falls, people are actually catching this?
Yeah, it's one of the defensives. Really. It's really one of them. So one of the primary reasons why you want to come to the Philippines is it's actually just two things. It's SM and it's Jollibee. Right. So Jollibee just got hit because of a one-off on the sugar drinks plus the contracts with the endo. So, but those are one-offs. If you're really coming to the Philippines, it's Jollibee and SM. Normally it's Jollibee, SM, and Ayala, right? So those three that go hand in hand. So if you notice that Jollibee, so far Jollibee was the last to fall. Jollibee was the very last to fall, and SM Prime didn't really fall, right? It didn't really fall. So it obviously shows the strength of SM, right? So when foreigners come in, this is primary guideline for.
Okay. Last stop, Sir Juanis, how about AGI?
Well, finally, AGI has finally had some beautiful and darling moves in the last few days. But reason for that really was because this was the stock that was heaviest sold by foreigners. And they literally emptied their coffers of holding this all the way down to the low. And that's why it took an extended time. While the market was recovering this, they were still flatlining their towers. Look at the July lows. And it took time. And even down there, they were selling and selling and selling. Now, just imagine a stock that's been, on the foreign side, that's been completely emptied of any stock position. And now you have the locals who more likely start off the buying campaign. And now the foreigners are coming back and says, I don't have anything in here. They're forced by situation to be able to rejuvenate their position, and this is why you're seeing a very, very sharp up move in prices. So I think that yes, we're coming to the first level of resistance, and I anticipate between a level maybe closer to about 1450. I hope it can go all the way up to a little bit over 15, being the 61.8% Fibonacci level.
Okay.
But I think after that, we'll probably cool down and take some rest and consolidation. But the worst is over here. So pullbacks for AGI are windows you're waiting to get in.
Right, because as you mentioned, ubos yung offers.
Yeah.
There's no overhang.
There is no more overhang.
Inubos.
They wipe this up.
No more. No more.
Okay.
So absence of seller.
Absence of seller.
Yeah, it's actually absence of seller. So everyone thinks that you need to have buyers for prices to go up, right? But in actuality, if absence of seller alone, prices can go up already. So that's what's happening with this.
All right, so thank you very much for that.